Hello and welcome once again to Scorpion Cigar Reviews. Today I'll be reviewing a limited release from Camacho in honor of Mike Ditka called Throwback. Comes in its own individual cedar coffin. Nicely presented. There's a little ribbon in it to pull it out. I love the smell of Spanish cedar. I picked this up today for $10.50 at my local tobacconist. This is I believe I was told it was did they tell me a 5x60? I don't believe that's a 60 ring gauge. Could be remembering wrong. Maybe I wasn't told it was a 5x60. But anyway, it has a laser etched or laser printed, whatever, on the label of Mike Ditka himself. Has a double, perhaps a triple cap. Let me see here. 1, 2. I think it's a double cap. Nice firm pack. For the most part, the seams are pretty tight but visible, but it does look like there's a loose spot or two on the seam. Standard amount of veins, a little bit of blotchiness to the color. See some stems poking the wrapper. Fairly firm, just ever so slight bit of sponginess. The foot's a little soft. Lots of cedar on the wrapper. I'm sure it's because it's been encased in that cedar coffin. The foot has a lot of cedar. Some chili spices. Okay. Using my Cigar cutter. Once again, I'm going to use a little trick that Ralphie from Ralphie.com taught me. Lay the cutter on flat surface, let the cigar just sit in the hole on the flat surface. Give it a snip, and should have given a perfect cut. However, there is a ton of stem. Look at that. Look at all that stem sticking out, the lighter color. Huge, huge stem. Other than that, it would have been a good cut, but this cutter got really hung up on this tree branch sized stem. Well, I'm going to leave it in there unless it bothers me smoking it, then I'll see about flipping it off. That sucker is so huge, I risked dulling my Cigar. Couldn't believe how hard that was when this stem is just ridiculous. You could kill somebody with that. Alright, pre-draw. Excessively free on the draw. Very, very light draw. Whew. This thing is powdery. A lot of little pieces of stem and leaf are coming through on the pre-draw. Let me try this again. Some leather in there, lots of kitchen type spices, some chili powder and some cumin and that kind of thing. I hope the draw tightens up a little bit while I'm smoking it, because this is a very open draw. Lots of nice flavors. Alright. Let's get it toasted up. And as I mentioned in previous video, this darn lighter's just been giving me a fit. Just when I think I get it working right, it doesn't work. There it goes. Huge amount of smoke output. Bless you, doggy. Right off the bat, a very powerful cigar. Not, overly strong, but definitely a very powerful cigar. Blast of jalapeno pepper, some black pepper, full body. Alright, so I'll get somewhere into the first third and see how it progresses. Here we are, just about 15 minutes in. Early on in the first third, you can see that this ash is splitting, getting ready to fall off. I'm going to go ahead and flip it off, otherwise it's going to end up in my lap. Of course, the part that held on was that little part that was splitting away from the rest. The bulk of it came off easily. I had to actually work to get the rest of it off. Strange. It's mellowed down a little bit. It doesn't have that kick of the pepper, the jalapeno, that real strong pepper note. It's mellowed down quite a bit. Some other flavors are starting to come through. Not quite sure what they are yet. They're hard to pick out. Interesting flavors. Well, I'll continue on. I'll come back in the second third unless I pick up something before I make it to the second third. Like I said, these flavors, they're melded together pretty tightly. I'm hoping it'll open up a little bit and come a little more forward. So we'll see what happens. I'll be back. We're about 25 minutes in. Just finishing up the first third, entering the second third. Started to pick up a little bit of almost meatiness. Something along the lines of like a grilled fish. Not the fishy taste that is, most people don't like, but it's like a good grilled, very meaty type fish, like maybe some halibut or tilapia on the grill, something like that. Very good. I'm also picking up, and I had forgotten that my tobacconist had mentioned this, that he said it would transition shortly after the first third or so. You would pick up this anise or licorice, and I'm definitely picking that up now as I'm entering the second third. Definitely some anise along with the meatiness, and it leaves this overall kind of cool feeling, like licorice leaves in your mouth. So that's interesting. The draw has tightened up a little bit, but it's still a little on the loose side for my preference. But I like it a little bit tighter, but it's not too bad. It's a full-bodied cigar, not an all-out powerhouse where it's knocking you out. Just it's on the lower end of full body. ever so slight hint of pepper in there still. A little bit of black pepper with some underlying notes of white pepper. The jalapeno is gone completely. Smoke is slightly dry, kind of forward on the palate, yet it leaves an overall creamy feel in the mouth. There's some other changes going on, haven't been able to pick them out yet. So there's definitely some complexity in this cigar. I also would like to mention that I have several drinks here. I have the Shock Top Belgian White, just because I was a little bit thirsty. But I'm trying a new whiskey, new to me, the Lafroig Quarter Cask. This is a very flavorful whiskey, a lot of intense, very forward flavors. And that could also be impacting how I pick up the flavors of the cigar. There's a lot of peat in the Lafroig, which I like. I really like the peat. It's very smoky, very rich, but it could be definitely be impacting the flavors I pick up in the cigar. And I have my water. So I'll continue on, get way into the second third and see if there's any changes. I'm just starting the second third. I've only ashed it the one time. I'll probably go and ash it again because it's still a little bit flaky, kind of leaning off to the side there. So I'll continue on and I'll be back. Here we are, about 45 minutes in. Cigar just went out, relit it. It suddenly became, I could tell it was trying to go out, and I took a few hard, long draws, and it went out altogether. So I relit it. Would like to mention that other than that, there hasn't been any real burn issues. Fairly even, a little bit of waviness, not too terribly bad, self-correcting. Nice crisp burn line. Loose ash only holds on for somewhere between, I don't know, I guess right around 3/4 of an inch on the ash. I'm outside and you can see all the smoke. Lots of smoke output. I guess I should have mentioned earlier on, the wrapper, being this dark, like a coffee colored wrapper, although it has an oily sheen to it, initially it felt kind of dry. However, it does have a little bit of an oily feel, yet at the same time dry. It's strange. It's like something dry that's been oiled. But whatever. "45 minutes in, well into the second third. I'm going to remove the band. It came off nicely. Doesn't appear to be any kind of damage to the wrapper at all. Alright. Hasn't been any real changes flavor-wise. Maybe a very subtle hint of flint and some other minerals. The anise is still there. Maybe a slight hint of woodiness. That grilled fish is gone. It only lasted for, maybe about half of the second third. The first half of the second third had that grilled fish. Still kind of dry. It leaves an overall creamy feel. Kind of contradictory. But it is what it is. Dry smoke leaves an overall creamy feel. Dry wrapper, yet an oily sheen and a slight oily feel to it. Once again, it contradicts itself, but it is what it is. Still a pretty light draw. But I'll get into the final third and I'll be back. Here we are, a little over an hour in. We're well into the final third here. Burn is starting to go a little uneven there. Not quite uneven, actually. I'll give it a little bit, see if it'll correct itself. Cigar is mellowed down a little bit. It's upper end of medium, lower end of full on the body. It's a transition from the second third into the final third. I did get a pretty good nicotine kick. Still feeling a little bit of it, but that's calmed down a little bit. It's clean burning. I'm not getting anything nasty off the end. Flavors have mellowed out. A little bit of leather in there, a little bit of woodiness, a little bit of meatiness. Ever so slight hint of anise. Still leaving an overall creamy feel with that underlying bit of dryness. Not a bad smoke. However, at $10.50, I think maybe they could have priced it a little better by eliminating the individual cedar coffins and just packaging it in cellophane and putting it in a basic cedar box with a bunch of others, 20 of them or whatever. But probably could have saved, I don't know, a couple bucks by not doing the individual coffins. I think the price point on the cigar would have been better suited to somewhere in the $8 range, maybe. So I'll continue smoking this into the nub, and we'll see how it progresses from there. Hopefully there'll be some nice surprises. Here we are, just about 90 minutes in. We're starting the nub here. No real changes other than the body has mellowed down a little bit more. It's a solid medium body now. Still a pleasant smoke. The wrapper is just starting to crack a little bit in the nub here. I'll go and end this review saying that the Camacho Ditka Throwback had an oily sheen to the wrapper, although the wrapper itself was fairly dry. It has an oak tree sized stem in the construction, but other than that the construction was fine. Ash was kind of loose and flaky, held on for maybe 3/4 of an inch. Had a Fairly wide flavor profile. Started off quite peppery, some black pepper, a little bit of white pepper, and some definite jalapeno pepper early on. Transitioned to a good amount of anise through the bulk of the cigar. Slight hints of leather, flint, some other minerals, a little bit of woodiness, some grilled fish, some real meaty grilled fish. It was real pleasant. Smoked for about an hour and a half. I think the price point was a little bit high, $10.50. Fairly even burn, nice crisp burn lines. It did go out once, and I did correct the burn line once. As I mentioned, a little bit pricey, I think, for what the cigar is. You could eliminate the individual cedar coffins and knock a couple dollars off the price tag, get it down around $8 or so. I think that'd be a much more suitable price point for this cigar. Did have a pretty good nicotine kick in there about halfway through. The nicotine kicked up as the body mellowed out. So I thank you for watching Scorpion Cigar Reviews. I'll see you next time.